This will be my first foray into virtual reality. Trover Saves the Universe doesn't count, and it's going to be a Star Wars game. Probably the perfect franchise to really test the viability of virtual reality. And I love Star Wars, but I'm not one of those, Star Wars ruined because of women people that complain about Episode 8. Episode 8 has its problems, it does, but I liked it. I enjoyed Episode 8. But it's nowhere near as bad as Episode 2, but this is not the video for that. This is going to be a relatively short review because it's a relatively short game. Star Wars Vader Immortal is an episodic Star Wars virtual reality game that is available only on the Oculus Store. It's compatible with the Rift, Rift S, and the Quest, just in case you have one of those three. Because I do know that this may be a game that's out of most of my viewers' realm due to the fact that it's an extra piece of hardware that's needed to play the game, and it's also kind of a PC-only title, well, except for the Quest, that's its own platform. But maybe I might be able to sell you on it. Vader Immortal was released in May of this year, and it's a 3-part episodic series, and only part 1 is available right now. And normally I wouldn't review an episodic game until all the parts are released, but there is a reason as to why I'm telling you this now. The game looks really good. Like, it feels like you're there, and I mean it feels like you're on a movie set, not in a video game. I just want to touch everything and press all the buttons. You get really immersed into the game. Your droid companion is kind of like L3 from Solo, A Star Wars Story, but not a woke droid. She's got a bit of an attitude around those around her, but not to you. The voice acting is really good, and so is the music. It's definitely a Star Wars game with the sound design. And now for my first foray into VR, this is going to be different for me to talk about the controls, as the camera itself is you. It's your head. You can turn around, look around, and see wherever you can and move your head. Now, I don't have that big a space in my room, so I'm mostly standing still. But the analog sticks on the Oculus controllers allow you to pivot the camera left or right just in case, which is a nice feature to have. That way you're not tripping over the wire of the headset. Now, one thing that I don't get is that you hold forward on the analog stick to aim where you want to go, and then you just jump there. Why can't I just walk forward and move my head in the direction I want to go? And this isn't the only VR game that I've seen in terms of at least gameplay footage that does that. I think Doom VFR does it as well, and I'm like, why? And when you interact with the game world, you get really immersed into it like I did. You forget you're holding controllers, and it almost feels like you're actually interacting with the stuff in the world. It's not perfect, as there's some bumps in the road, but for the most part, it feels like you're climbing up ladders, pressing buttons, and pulling switches. You're given a tool that's used to override stuff, but you only use it maybe 3 or 4 times. But the selling point of a Star Wars game is the one thing that sells Star Wars games: using a lightsaber. You get to use a lightsaber, and it follows your movements really well. But the one thing that kind of breaks that suspension of disbelief is that you're given a lot of time to block incoming attacks. In the part where you reflect Stormtrooper laser blasts back at them, I got hit at least once or twice. But I think that's because some of the laser fire is overlapped and the game only registers one blaster bolt hitting the lightsaber at a time, and the second one will just pass through it. I'm not 100% sure, as it is hard to tell due to perspective. The final lightsaber battle is good, but it gets kinda silly when you have to go from being a Jedi to a gamer, and you just flail your wrist at the enemy droids to do damage to them. Mostly because you'll have one spawn behind you and attack your back, while you're busy with the one in front of you. So you're attacking as fast as you can to deal more damage, so this way you can go to the other one. And the story is a canon one. It takes place between Episode 3 and Rogue One. I'm assuming that the story is Vader trying to resurrect Padme, because Vader says that he's been looking for you, and specifically you, because you can open a key, and that's all I really know, as the game ends once you reach the bottom of an elevator shaft after a thrilling lightsaber battle with a bunch of droids that attack you and Vader. And Vader does offer to teach you the ways of the Force because he can sense that you can use it. Unfortunately, This game is only about 45 minutes before the credits roll. I wanted a longer experience, but for $10, I really got my money's worth, and I cannot wait for episode 2 and 3, but there's just no release date on them. If you have an Oculus headset, this is a must-buy, even if you're not into Star Wars. It's pretty fun, and the story is top-notch quality, especially if you want to be in a Star Wars movie.